This is a video about opportunities, but taking it to the next level. So, we all learned about how to create an opportunity and how to submit our commission, that kind of thing, to the market center. So, today I want to show you some more advanced things that have to do with opportunities. So I'm going to really quickly just create an opportunity because I don't have one that we can play with. So I'm just going to put a buying opportunity here. Um, I'm going to pick my trusty friend Snow White here as my buyer. And we're just going to move forward here real quick. Okay, so now I've created my opportunity and we're all set to move forward with some of these other fun, weird things. So we're going to go back to our documents and I'm going to choose the checklist for a residential purchase so that we have that selected here. And what happens if I had my people wet sign? So I'm not syncing it with an e-sign provider. I am just going to bring the documents in from my desktop. Okay, so I can just pull them in from my computer, in which case I'm just clicking the browse button and I'm going to choose a document and I'm going to bring it in. Okay, so this is what it's showing me. I'm just going to choose something and I'm going to say bring it in. Now, what happens if I have something that is multiple pages that I downloaded in a lump or I scanned into one lump, say my listing docs or my under contract docs? So how I can bring that in and still be able to split it out so that it's easy for you and also easy on the market center side is I'm going to use these three little dots. And this has a drop-down menu, which has three items. The first one is add a document, which means that I can add something to this compliance checklist that is not called for. Perfect example of a use case for this would be some piece of information, some addendum that is not normal, not something that's typically called for and is not listed in here. So in our compliance checklist, we have the appraisal contingency addendum and the OGM addendum. But what if you had one that was settlement of other property or a continue to market or things like that? So if I have one that is selected on the last page of my sales agreement, but I do not have it called for here, I want to add a document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click add a document. It's going to ask me to give the name. So I'm just going to use the SOP, settlement of other property, as a example. I'm going to choose the document type. Now it can be an agreement, which is something definitely this is. Or you can choose it's a contract, a disclosure, inspection reports can go in here, whatever works for you. I'm just going to choose other as the document type. And when I do that, it's going to allow me to put a name in here. So I'm just going to put SOP addendum. Okay. Now I can, from my computer or from Dotloop or DocuSign or whatever, that if you have linked them, you can bring that document in. So in this case, I'm just going to browse. I'm just going to pull in whatever that document is. It's going to attach it, and then I'm going to say save. What it does then is, as you can see, this is where my sales agreement and stuff is. It's going to put that at the end. It's going to be purple, so it's not one of our red, yellow, or orange that's typically there. It's going to make it purple, additional documents. It's called an SOP. And it shows what my note says, which is the SOP addendum. It's listed as another, and there is the link to the actual document. Okay. Remember that you can pull documents into this compliance checklist that are not necessarily compliance documents. You must have the required documents in there, but this is your filing cabinet. This is where you should be keeping all of your completed docs so that everything is in one place. And that way it won't matter if you have a scanned copy, if you did it in Dotloop, if you did it in DocuSign, if you do it in whatever the next best thing is. Okay. Another way to add documents is to add a custom folder, and then you can add those documents inside of a custom folder. So if you have estate documents or a POA, or you have maybe somebody's divorce decree, excuse me, or if you have a death certificate from an estate, that kind of thing. You can add a custom folder that says estate docs, and then inside of there, you can put any of these docs as well that are helpful and part of this transaction, and they will always reside in this opportunity and in that contact record. Now, another thing that's up here with those three dots is the split and attach PDF. And this is my favorite, and this is the reason I wanted to show you this today. So when I say split and attach documents, I'm going to be able to, from my computer, or again, I could from Dotloop, DocuSign, whatever is attached here, I could pull something in. So I'm going to browse for a file. I'm just going to look for something that's a couple pages long here. See if I have one that I can bring you. Just trying to find something. Okay, so this is big, AI playbook. This has nothing to do with anybody's transaction, so that's what I want. Okay, so I have this large PDF document that I've brought in, and I'm going to select next. Okay, and as you can see, it has many pages. Okay, so I am going to do now is I am going to select a checklist item that I want to attach some of these pages to. So I'm going to start with the executed sales agreement. And then I have a couple ways I can select this. I can actually come over here and I can type 1 to 14 if I wanted, and it will select those pages. Or I can come over here and I can select them manually, and you can see that it changes it from a black number to a green number. So that way I know I've selected it. I can also scroll through the middle here and see them larger. So I can scroll all the way to here. So I want to say 1 to 14. So as you can see, it chose 2, 3, and 14 because those are the ones I selected. If I know which pages I want to do, I can just say 1 to 14, and it's going to select all of those. And then because this is coming in as one large document, it wants you to break that apart and make it into smaller documents. And when you do that, you have to give those smaller documents a name. So the new document name is, I'm just going to call this ASR, Agreement of Sale of Real Estate. And then I'm going to go to the next thing. Now, what's really fun about this, fun, right, is that you can do them out of order. You don't have to choose every single page. Whatever works for you, whatever you need in your transaction, that's what you can do. Okay. So say now I needed execute appraisal addendum. Maybe that's page number 18. It's not in order. That's okay. I don't have to attach them in order, and I don't have to attach them all either. Okay, so I can scroll down here and I can select them, or I can just type the number here and select them. And I'm going to say MLS, attach more pages. Maybe let's do the last one, cost sheet. Okay, and let's see what's the last page here. Let's do page 29. Once I have all the pages selected that I need to upload, again, you do not have to match every page up to a checklist item. Then you want to say split and attach selected. Oh, see, and see how it's grayed out? It was reminding me that I have to give this one a name. Can't spell. Okay, so once I've given each one a name and it's ready to move forward, I'm going to say split and attach selected. And here is my checklist. And as you can see, as it's splitting them, it is putting them in the proper places. The other thing I want to show you about this is split and attached uploads. It adds a custom folder. If I click on that, it will show the whole document, my whole original document right here that I uploaded. And I can always look at it, or I can refer back to it if I need to. Okay, so you don't lose the original document. It just doesn't put everything in the checklist. Okay, and the last item is export. So you can actually select a number of these that are completed, and then you can export them as a PDF. Okay, that is one of the good things about this little menu right here. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to submit to Market Center. Now, one more thing I want to show you while we're on here is what to do if you have something go under contract and then it terminates. So this is my buyer folder, and I put in their documents, and once we got through inspections or during inspection period, they terminated. So what I can do is I can use the three little dots and I can add a document at the bottom here, and I can add the termination right here into this folder. I'm going to browse, and I'm going to grab my termination that's signed, and I'm going to say save. Again, it's going to put it in here at the bottom. That's my termination. Make sure it's signed by buyer and seller so that Matt can get your money back to you. Then I'm going to submit that to the market center. But now I have all my buyer docs here in my consultation. Or sometimes if it's your listing, you have all your listing docs in there, and then maybe the first contract terminates, but then you get a second contract. So what you want to do versus creating a whole new opportunity is you want to come up here to this little down arrow next to the word under contract or listed or consultation or whatever folder you're in. Use that little down arrow and you're going to say add a version. Okay. When I say add a version, it's set default says V2. That's totally fine. You can change it if you want, but it can be V2. I'm going to say create a new version. Now you can see what it does is it blows away all of the documents that were in this checklist. The best thing though is that it still leaves out here on the under contract tab, it still leaves those original documents and that termination, which I have submitted to the market center, which I'm waiting for their money to go back to them. Okay. But it leaves me the ability to then have a very clean, fresh slate here so that I can now re-upload the documents for the next one. This is especially important for something like a listing that terminates during inspections, and then you have a new buyer that comes in because it's not clean if you don't add that version, and it makes it very difficult from the compliance side for us to know which is the new stuff and which is the old stuff, and it gets very convoluted. This way, it's very clean. Everything is in its own version. And that's very important. Okay. Okay. Thanks for joining me.